Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you listen to this episode 245 of the Tree Talk podcast. Myself, Jack Neville, and Matt O'Callaghan of the Weekly Observer and Vale Star. Another very busy episode for us to get through. We obviously have the ladies All-Ireland Junior final this Sunday. Another All-Ireland final for us to look forward to, Matt. We also had the start of the Hurling Championships over the weekend. We have two special guests joining us from the start. So it's going to be a very, very busy but enjoyable pod. So stay tuned for all that and more.
The impression again we get out with what you put into it's like a walk of life. If you're good enough, go out and get it, no more about it.
But not so much control in the centre of the field from Kilkenny as Richie Bennett sends it high and over the bar.
Your mother sends you down to the shop for a pound's worth of goods and she gives you 50 pence. You can't get the pound's worth of goods, can you?
Just about kept in. Oh, well done, Shawnee Buckley. To do that to Tomás O'Shea. He deserves to score from here. One of the highlights of the Sunday game.
Then we went out there from the word go today. No more about it. They made all the running, that was it. Put the ball over the bar and the back of it and that's it. No ifs, no buts.
Is there much time left? We have a couple of injuries. Here comes Kieran Carey. Carey leading the charge of the right brigade. 45 metres out. He's a chance to score. He's put it high.
There's no sympathy in this game for anybody.
Now, as you'll see there on the screen, the Wi-Fi gremlins have caught Matt as always, but delighted joined by Limerick Ladies captain Roisin Ambrose and manager Graham Shine ahead of this weekend's final. Lads, how are you keeping?
Good, Jack, thanks.
Good, Jack, thanks.
I suppose, Graham, I'll come to you first. What's the mood like in the camp from your point of view as you build into the final this Sunday?
Shuts is great, Jack. The last 3 weeks have been brilliant. Once we got over the line against Fermanagh, look, training has been brilliant. Of course, it is. Every girl and management were also excited about Sunday, and look, if you weren't excited last 3 weeks, look, you wouldn't be into football, So everything is brilliant at the moment. I just can't wait now, really, to get going on Sunday, Just dragging on a bit this week, all right.
Yeah, was the 3 weeks a bit too long for you?
Yeah, we could. I suppose the 2 weeks would have been great, But look, with the hurling winning as well, I suppose it was great. We give the girls a bit of time as well to enjoy that win as well. So yeah, look, it probably worked out brilliant. The 3 weeks have worked out brilliant. But as I say, we're raring to go now. We just can't wait now to head off Saturday.
Roisin, what's it been like for you for the last 3 weeks?
Oh, it's been brilliant. Like, sure, at the end of the day, we're in an All-Ireland final. I think winning the semi-final against Fermanagh was a huge boost for us. Like, I don't know. I know we all believed that we were going to win the match, but the way the match panned out, it proved rather difficult. But yeah, no, the mood in the camp has been brilliant the past few weeks. And yeah, we're really looking forward to this Sunday.
Yeah, I'll go to the game there in a minute and with Graham. But for you as a group to get over that semi-final, because obviously have fallen at hurdle a good few times, it must have been a huge monkey off the back.
Jeannie, definitely. Like, what was it? We got to the All-Ireland final in 2018. We were intermediate in 2019, got relegated. So 2020, 2021 and 2022, we lost the semi-final year after year. So it was huge. Like, it was absolutely brilliant. I was so emotional when we won the semi-final. Like, it was just, I suppose, a relief really than anything that we were going through to the All-Ireland final.
And did you feel a sense of relief, Graham, for the girls to just get over that hurdle?
Delighted, Jack. I was delighted myself as well. It was like, I don't know what feeling it was like. It was just the pressure of the probably the last 2 seasons there. You're always nearly there and you just couldn't get over the line, whatever the reason was. As I say, we probably lost only a few games in the last couple of years and they were all vital, important games. And for some reason, we just couldn't put our finger on it, really. So I know leading into that semi-final, the girls were in a great place and their minds seemed to be a lot more focused. And I don't know, we just seemed to be in a bit more better, even at half-time there when things weren't going well, And you could see in the dressing room that there was just that belief that we would get over the line. And when that whistle blew after 6 minutes of injury time, it was just amazing feeling, for just to see the girls and their families, just the delight of getting into that All-Ireland final. I said it from the word go to the girls, you just get there, get to the final, and like every game then is a 50-50 after that. So yeah, it was massive, and you could see what it meant to everyone, and look, we were probably on the pitch for an hour after, to be honest. So it was great, Jack.
Yeah, there seemed to be a huge pouring of relief there. But
Yeah.
the game itself, Graham, it took a while to get going. I suppose it's safe to say there was nearly 25 minutes on the clock before there was a score. But I suppose for the side to bounce back after concession of the goal just before half time showed, I suppose, great hunger, great determination, great character from the team.
Yeah, look, to be honest, that day, the conditions were poor enough that day. I know I mightn't have seen it in the TV and stuff, but it was poor enough that day. And we created chances, and kind of both defences were well on top, the amount of turnovers was unreal, and it was a very fast game. And look, we had chances. We probably missed 4 or 5 frees, to be honest. We had 2 goal chances. We missed them. And then we got sucker punched with them, got a goal, and they kicked a point or two and went in at half time, I think 4 points down, and with 27 minutes on the clock, there was nothing in it. But as I say, look, we refocused again in the dressing room, and a lot of the dressing room is player-led, The girls know themselves what we need to do to up the standards. And look, 𝘠𝘱𝘰𝘳𝘵 McGrath came on that day and probably kicked her first kick was a free, and she kicked 6, So look, that's what got us over the line. But the intensity, the team effort, the work rate to make the runs, and the hard running it was, and Fermanagh were pulling us back and getting frees, and 𝘠𝘱𝑚 was popping them over then, and it was hard work, to be honest, Jack, that won that game.
Yeah, we were never going to get into an Ireland final easily, area. So, as you said, it's just about getting over the line on those days.
Look, they're there for winning. Semi-finals are for winning, and you could win by 10 points or a point, it doesn't matter. You just have to win when he blows that whistle once you're on top. And look, we didn't play great, as I say, in the first half, but it was a funny game. We probably, on stats-wise and stuff, we weren't bad, It was just both teams were really defensive, and the ball was slippy, and a lot of nerves as well. A lot of nerves probably from us, even that, semi-final again, what happens if we don't get over the line. And but look, as I said, the real character shone in the second half. And like I said to the girls there, we've been in loads of scenarios during the year. We've been up 5 points, down 10 points at half time, and we always seem to battle really hard in the third and fourth quarter. And so look, as I say, massive relief. Probably didn't play the best, but sure, look, as I say, they're for winning, and we won, and we wouldn't be here today if we didn't win. So over the moon and can't wait for Sunday.
Roisin, what's your, I suppose, take on the game itself? Were you anyway worried at halftime?
You know what? I wasn't worried. I had confidence in us. Like, we were trying to do the right things, just the scores weren't coming off. I think we dropped 4 or 5 balls into the keeper's hands, a few wides. We were creating the scoring chances, but they just weren't coming off. So I knew at halftime, if we really focused on that, and even giving more ball into the forwards, that we were going to get on top eventually. And look, that happened, thankfully. It could have very easily have went in Fermanagh's favour, but it went in our favour, thank God. And just to see 𝘠𝘱𝘰𝘳𝘵 McGrath come on the field and throw those points over the bar, I suppose it gave us another boost of confidence, to see 𝘠𝘱𝑚, 19 years of age, come on and I suppose lead us on, and that's what she did. She was brilliant.
There's a huge squad depth there, Roisin, that if things aren't going right for the players on the field, that you have players to come off the field, and a great squad bond there as well.
Oh, Jeannie, there is and I suppose you hear so much about the panel of players, and it's not all down to the starting 15. And with us, that definitely it is that way. We've such talent, and there's younger girls, and obviously they want to be starting. But Jeannie, when they come on the field on Sunday, there's going to be no stopping them. I suppose they've no fear. They're brilliant. The likes of, let's say, Kate Kennedy, she's so young, and she has no fear. She'd come on and just throw the ball over the bar, no bother to her. But it really is all about the panel. And on Sunday, it's not going to be down to the starting 15 players. It's going to be those 5 subs that come on. They're going to be the difference.
What's it like for you, Graham, dealing with a squad that, first of all, the players know that they can't rest on their laurels, that there's a player to go on the sideline, but for you, that if things aren't going right, that you can trust those players coming off from the bench?
That is great. And this year, the standard of player, the standard of young player coming in has been unreal, you know. Been really impressed with the quality and as I say, their skill level, their skill set is a lot higher than I'd seen last year, probably with the younger girls, you know. So it is great. Like, it's hard. We've 33. You can only pick 15. 15 won't be starting, and then you have 3 girls on the extended panel, Jack, you know. But the standard is really high. There's a bright future in Limerick, you know. Roisin there is probably only 22 or 3, you know. And there's a lot younger than her under there, 19, 20. So the standard is really high. Girls really fighting for places. Our A versus our green team, we call it white team, are savage games. Like, you know, they're so ferocious. Every girl working to get onto that team. And no matter when you turn around the next day above in Crow Park and whatever player you look at to come on and do a job, you're 100% confident that she can come in and just fill into that spot. And that's a dream for a manager, you know that behind your back there's serious quality. Looking to come on and hungry to come on. And as I said, I've said this a lot in interviews, the girls, very passionate, a bunch of women from Limerick, you know. They love Limerick, and like, to wear that jersey is a massive honour for them. And you can see the way they get behind the hurling so much, and they just love Limerick. And I think that's half the battle. And when you call in one of them with a Limerick jersey on, you know you're getting 100% check. So as a management point of view, it's a dream to what we have at the moment. And going forward, this bunch of players, if they stay together, there's a massive special bunch coming with Limerick. So yeah, it's for us, it's very easy, tough to pick it, but I'd rather that any day, to have 32 or 3 good girls than trying to find girls, you know. So yeah, it's brilliant for us, brilliant for Limerick going forward.
Yeah, and you'll also be no strangers to your final opponents, a repeat match against Down. Obviously beat you in the first game, Graham, in Newcastle West. Must have learned a lot from that day.
Yeah, look, it's kind of funny, Jack, you know. We looked at it and we analysed it. We played well in the first half against the wind. In the second half, for some reason they kind of won probably more kickouts than their own kickouts, at a high percentage on that. They moved the ball quick. They moved the ball down the channels really quick, and they have good scorers. Natasha First and stuff there. They have good players. We've learned a lot, but look, we really focus on ourselves. And as I said, the last 3 weeks have been very positive. The girls are really sharp. Last Sunday training and stuff, everything is really sharp at the moment. And look, once we look after ourselves, of course we're going in as underdogs. We know that Down have only been beat twice this year. And the 2 teams that actually beat them are in the intermediate final on Sunday. So yeah, look, we know we're going in as underdogs, but look, we love that and we relish that. And once our girls hit that pitch Sunday too, we'll be well up for that game. So we have a lot done in ourselves, as I say, getting back to your question, a lot done in ourselves. Of course, we've looked at Down, but the main focus is on ourselves, that we perform, and we need to perform. We probably didn't perform against them in Newcastle West, so we know we need to perform on Sunday.
Did the fact that you're both through already play into that at all, do you think? You know, it's obviously a different circumstance this Sunday.
I went out to win it, like, you know, I told the girls we want to win, you know, and every time we put on a Limerick jersey, we win, and we were disappointed that we lost, to be honest, and probably disappointed with the performance in the second half. And look, the goal came at a bad time, and the goal swung it for us, or swung it for them. And look, we sat down after, we had a good old chat, and we focused in on for man. And as I say, everything is positive. These girls know themselves. A lot of it is player-led. Roisin there and the girls, Cathy and Yvonne, the 3 captains there, it's player-led. And they know themselves that they underperformed in the second half that day, and that won't cut it on Sunday. So yeah, no, we're ready to go now.
Roisin,
she'll answer that for you there.
You're looking forward to getting another crack off Down?
Yeah, definitely. I suppose it was disappointing to lose to them in Newcastle West, with it being a home game and all. But I suppose we can't dwell on that too much now. We can only look towards the future. And the future is Sunday now, I suppose, to get the win back. Look, we didn't perform well in Newcastle West, but a performance is everything on Sunday, and we really need a good team performance. Can't be let down to any player. And that's what we do. We play as a team, and as long as we come out with that team spirit on Sunday, I don't think there's any stopping us, to be honest.
You're obviously going back to Crow Park. You were there in 2018, very young at the time, coming in as captain now. What's it like in the build-up this week compared to 2018?
Yeah, I was only telling someone the other day that I actually don't think I remember any of 2018. Like, I was only, it was just finished my leaving cert. I hadn't a clue what was going on. I was just going through the motions, I'd say. I don't even remember playing, to be honest, in Crow Park. It was all just a blur, I suppose, really. But yeah, and looking into it this week, I suppose I'm just appreciating things that a little bit more. I'm probably soaking it in. I'm focusing more on my game. I'm not really thinking about any other distractions, really. And yeah, I'm just really, really looking forward to it and grateful that we're getting the opportunity.
Do you feel pressure as captain at all?
No. I think because we have so many leaders on our team, like we have the likes of Kathy Mee, who was captain in 2018. We've Ailbhe Quaid, who played in the 2010 All-Ireland. Like, we have so many leaders on our team. It's not let down to me. I don't really have to do much, to be honest. It's just a title, really, at the end of the day. So yeah, no pressure, really, to be honest.
It's all of you are leaders on the field, is it, more than one individual?
Oh, definitely, absolutely. We've leaders on and off the field. It's brilliant to see. It's a positive thing to be seen.
Graham, how do you find, going into the game with such a young squad and so little that played in Crow Park? Do you think it's nearly a blessing that, that you can just go in with no fear, that you don't really know what today's about, or would you rather a few more had experience of it?
You said the word. I was just going to say fearless, They just seem to be the last, as I say, 3 weeks now. We've just knuckled down, we've trained hard, and of course we mentioned Crow Park, but we haven't seen nervousness around the place, or I just think we're just taking it now as another game on the journey, and at the start of the year we had targets, and this is another target. And as I say, when you're young, when you're 18, 19, 20, up to 23, whatever, so you're fearless, sir. So what more would you want only playing in Crow Park All-Ireland final day? Since, as I said, I'm going there all my life, and I probably had to pay for every time I went there, and it is free on Sunday, so I can't wait for it, and that's like the girls be the same. And I told them last night, enjoy the memories, Of course you're going to be nervous, but enjoy it, and it's a special occasion, and they'll come around very few times. You don't know what's going ahead of you. And when you're there, enjoy it. Of course there'll be nerves, but use the nerves in a positive manner. And I can see these girls jumping out their skin on Sunday, and as I say, look, they're a fantastic bunch, and if they can we just click now on Sunday, I don't think nerves will be a problem, Jack, to tell you the truth.
I'll throw you over to Matt O'Callaghan there, who's in and out as the stream is going on. But Matt, you might get a question there before you fall out again.
Yeah, before the Gremlins, Roisin, you're one of 5, I think, survivors from the 2018 squad. It's a huge turnover in that time.
Yeah, it is, I suppose. There's 4 of us, I think, that's still on the panel, but look, year in, year out, we've had a lot of turnovers with players, but this year I think we've really come together and we've united as a group, and it's been really, really nice and I suppose refreshing to see that, that we're all backing each other. Like, we're all a family, I suppose, at this stage. We see each other so much. So yeah, I don't really think that matters too much, as long as we're just focusing on the panel that we have now.
Obviously, it's an early start, rushing to be in Dublin 11:45. Does that, I suppose, change up how you and as a squad prepare for this game?
It doesn't really. Like, what is it, 11:45? Normally our games would be 2:00. I don't really think we're reading into that too much. We're heading up on Saturday, so at least we won't have to be up too early on Sunday morning. We might get a little bit of a sleep in, depending on what time Graham wants us up for breakfast. Hopefully it's not too early. But no, it'll be fine. It is an early game, obviously, but it's the same for Down. It's the same situation for both teams, so it'll be fine.
Graham, how are you how are you going to approach a game? Obviously, you're in Dublin night before, so that's different. But if players haven't slept and stuff like that, and just to build up, it's a different kind of game to prepare for going into Crow Park.
It is, yeah. It's only when you sit down to actually write out, the schedule and write out the time frame of it. And Crow Park is really strict on times, and it's all new to us, and Yeah, but look, we'll approach it the same as Roisin said. Yeah, we train most weeks from 10 to 12 anyway, 10 in the morning till 12. Or we've played a lot of games this year at 1 o'clock. That won't affect us at all. And girls don't get a great night's sleep that night. Look, the adrenaline will keep you going anyway. So it's just, look, focusing on the game, you know, all those small things. We can't let those affect us, you know. It's the same for everyone that's travelling up there. From Kerry or from Kildare or Clare, wherever they're from, they'll all be doing the same thing, you know. So the girls just focusing on the game. Preparation is down to a teen out at the moment, and as I said, we're going really well. Everything is really sharp at the moment, and small things like that won't affect us on Sunday. Perfect performance, but it is different. It is different. There's a new learning curve with how strict it is with times, and you have to change your warm-ups and stuff like that. So yeah, it is different, but I'm delighted anyway. It is different because it's a big day in Croke Park, so we'll change anything for them.
Yeah, and you mentioned it's a big day in Croke Park, and it's one that has really grown over the years, and it's brilliant to see.
Oh, it's just massive, sure. Like the attendance now, I was there a few years ago, it was the biggest attendance in female sport, you know, so it's getting bigger and bigger, and look, it's the publicity of it. Since Lidl came in, I was first involved with County 2017. Lidl came in, I think, around that time, and you can see it has grown and grown. And look, the excitement around Limerick, I'm from Kerry myself, the excitement around Kerry. It's great to see all the flags are still left up from the Kerry men, the Limerick men in the hurling. So it's great buzz around, and the amount of buses that are going, and probably 10 years ago, you would hardly know it was on, you know. So it's absolutely brilliant for the girls and for the hard work they put in. They do the same effort as no other team, and they deserve all the publicity and they deserve all the hype, and it's a big occasion for them, as I say, and the more publicity we get, the stronger it'll go. And as I say, it is rapid now at the moment, it's growing so fast. So yeah, hopefully Sunday, the weather will be good and the attendance will be massive again on Sunday. So yeah, it's all good going forward now for ladies football.
Yeah, Roisin, you've obviously experienced it in 2018, but even since then, there's been a huge growth, and obviously a childhood dream to represent your county in Croke Park, and one you'll definitely be looking forward to, I presume.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose the support in ladies football has just been huge the past couple of years. I think that's probably a credit to ladies football and their promotion of the game with their link up with Lidl and 𝘰𝘰𝘬𝘭𝘴. So hopefully this weekend there'll be another match record attendance. I'm sure there will be. Like, I don't see why there wouldn't be. I know from my club there's 3 or 4 buses heading up, so that's a positive thing to take. And I'm sure from the rest of the girls' clubs that's the same situation. So it's brilliant to see. And even within the county of Limerick, it's great to see that there's that support for ladies football, and that I suppose the younger players are, I suppose they're being inspired to play ladies football, even the fact that we're in the final this year.
Yeah, a great day around. Graham, is there much pressure on you on the day, or is it kind of in the build up? How do you find yourself on the sideline for big games like this? Or Roisin might want to answer for you.
She'll probably answer better. Yeah, I'll tell you the truth anyway. Look, of course, look, as I said, we have a lot of work done, and look, I to be honest, the truth, the next day it's up to the girls. The next day when they cross the white line, you know. We've everything done now, and as I said, they're in great shape, like, and of course you'll be nervous. It's a big occasion for myself and my family and stuff, you know, and but look, as I said, the girls, when they cross the line the next day, they'll do the job, and there's no point me roaring in or jumping up and down on the sideline, you know. So once the girls keep sticking to the process and sticking to the plan, you know, I can keep nice and calm. I presume, look, against for a man, all right, you know, it's when your man sits in, the ref said 6 minutes to go, all right. I nearly had a heart attack on the sideline, but hopefully now the next day with the buzzer counting down, please God, we'll be on the right side of the scoreboard when it counts down to 0, and we can let loose then, Jack.
Yeah, hopefully. Matt is back in. You might get a question in there, Matt.
It might be called the Gremlins. I would like to ask one question, particularly to Graham. I thought performance against Sligo was as competent and as efficient a performance I've seen from a Limerick team for quite a long time, and probably one of the best performances of your reign. If we repeat that on Sunday, I think we're going to be in a good place.
Yeah, I agree, Jack. And I keep going back to the player led, you know, and the players knew that day that they were under the cosh that day. If you didn't win, you were expected to be down in the week after. So it was all for nothing, to be honest. And we treated that game as a final that day. We knew 2 points got us straight into semi-final in the All-Ireland. So, it was a brilliant performance by the girls. The work rate was unreal. Control the game, I think, would be the word that we used. We really controlled it, and we set our own terms on the game, which we were delighted with. And again, as I tell the girls, it was player-led, and the second half there, when we needed to control it and kick-outs and stuff, the girls were excellent. And we were delighted. I know Matt's gone now, but we were delighted that we got over the line that day, because, again, if you had lost that game, score differences against Kilkenny and stuff like that, if we didn't beat Down. So that was our final, I think, that day, to start the championship, really, that day against Sligo, and the girls were outstanding. And again, if we perform like that on Sunday, we'll go a long way.
Yeah, 100%. Before the final, Graham, obviously we're recording this on Wednesday. On Thursday, there's a breakfast morning in the Woodlands. I suppose you've been encouraging people to go out and meet the players and things before the final.
Yeah, look, there's a massive event well organised by the Woodlands and Limerick LGFA and Sport in Limerick. And look, there's great guest speakers, and it's great. Lee McCarthy will be there. And look, it's great for the girls even to get the exposure and raise a few pounds, and stuff like that. They deserve it. So yeah, anyone that wants to have a good breakfast in the morning with good company, there's tickets online there with Limerick LGFA, and the more the merrier. You're all welcome there.
Lovely. Matt, I'll throw it to you for one last question if you want.
So with the Gremlins now, I haven't much time for any question, but I want to wish Graham and Roisin the very, very best of luck on Sunday in Croke Park, and I'm pretty confident that they're going to do it. Now, we went in 2018, as Roisin will remember, although she says there she doesn't remember much about 2018. We went in as rank outsiders against Louth. So, like, the outsiders tag isn't new to Limerick, and I honestly believe that that they can have the performance that will bring the West County Hotel Cup back to Limerick. We've been unlucky in the league, but like by any benchmark, we've had a very, very good championship campaign to date, notwithstanding the defeat to Down, and that has been passed and analysed, and we know where it all went wrong in that second half. So, I think we're in a good place going in as underdogs, and maybe the defeat to Down in the group stage might prove to be a blessing.
Yeah, sometimes it's very hard to beat a team twice in the 1 year, so we're hoping that'll be the case for Down. Just to finish, Roisin, obviously in 2018, when you won, Limerick did a double that year with Lee McCarthy as well as ladies football. You'll be hoping that the Omens are good this year around and you can do it again.
Yeah, please God, it'll continue on.
Yeah, lovely. Lads, thanks very much for coming on. The very best luck, as Matt said, this Sunday. Limerick versus Down in the All-Ireland Junior Final at 12:15 in Croke Park. Please God, Roisin will be up lifting the trophy for Limerick, and it'll be another double for a county that's become so accustomed to success. Thanks very much for joining us this morning, lads, and we'll talk again soon.
Thanks a million, Jack. Thanks a million, Matt.
Thanks, Jack.
Bye.
Now, that was Limerick Ladies captain Roisin Ambrose and manager Graham Shine ahead of this Sunday's All-Ireland Junior Ladies Football Final at 12:15 against Down. Matt, a lot of internet troubles there, but I think we've rectified the situation. But what's your read going into Sunday's game?
Yeah, but I just want to make reference to our two guests first, Jack, in that I think Graham Shine has done a fantastic job in the 2 years he's at the helm, and to me, as you know from talking to him, he's a born winner, and I think the number of new players that he has introduced along and married it with some of the experienced players, and is absolutely fantastic. And when I mention fantastic, it certainly applies to the captaincy of Roisin Ambrose. She's captain fantastic in my opinion. She's a born leader as well. And you can see in every performance, Jack, and I've seen him live a number of times this year, and you get a greater sense of what people are about when you see people on the flesh and playing in real time. She's absolutely been leading from the front, right from, all through the year. She's been absolutely fantastic. And I'm so sorry about the Gremlins that upset our conversation, Jack, because there are two people that I have the utmost respect for. And like we should be very proud of the job that they have done for Limerick ladies football. And like, they're just 60 minutes away, Jack, from a third All-Ireland. A third All-Ireland success that would propel us up to the top of the roll of honour in ladies junior football. And you must remember, Jack, that if they do it on Sunday, and I'm one of the people that believe that they will, they've done it the very, very difficult route to do it. They certainly got the short straw when they were drawn with Sligo and Down, two teams that were relegated from intermediate last year. And you know, Gsheimhridh, you know, in the immediate aftermath of losing the league semi-final, he was quite upset that because he believed that, you know, that Limerick were good enough to play in Division 3. Now, he got an opportunity in the championship to benchmark himself against two Division 3 sides. And we saw how well that Limerick matched up. They beat Sligo, who will be in Division 3. They were narrowly beaten by Down after a poor second half performance by Limerick. A Down team that just lost 2 games in Division 3 this year. And those 2 games were Clare and Kildare, who will be playing in the intermediate final this year. So, like, his disappointment was well placed in that he obviously believed, and he was correct in his belief that Limerick's rightful place should be in Division 3. But this will come as more than a consolation. First of all, it has answered the question about suitability for Division 3. A very, very good win over Sligo, and you had me in the brief opportunity I got there putting the question to him, because I saw that game in Newcastle West. I also saw the Down game, and you would have to say for the entire Sligo game and the first half of the Down game that Limerick were a match for anybody. And I heard you putting the question about the fact that the two sides had already qualified. You know, did it feed into Limerick's poor second half performance? Very, very hard to judge that, Jack. Also, Limerick had, you know, played against the wind in the first half and were only a point down against Down. Perhaps they got it into their head or something, you know, maybe the job is done. But as we've said so often in the past, like the wind doesn't win a game for anybody. But their poor second half performance, and I've no doubt that since that performance, they will have analysed and passed that particular second half, you know, in great detail forensically, and you know, will have taken a lot of learning out of it. Now, you know, they were, again, they got the short straw, and this is no respect to Carlow, in the semi-final when they were drawn against Fermanagh, who were one of the favourites, let's face it from the outset, to win this championship. Now, Gsheimhridh, obviously, and I certainly was another one that didn't share the despondency. I remember that day in Newcastle West that, you know, Limerick supporters saying, "Oh, look, we've to face Fermanagh now, kind of, that's it." I didn't believe that, because we played Fermanagh twice last year. We played them in the league semi-final and the All-Ireland semi-final. And we beat them in the league semi-final. And I don't think that Limerick should have been defined in their games with Fermanagh by the championship semi-final, for the simple reason that everything that was to go right went right for Fermanagh on the day. You'll probably remember it, Jack. Everything that could go wrong for Limerick went wrong on the day. We hit the crossbar 4 times, you know. So look, when I didn't see it that way, and that's the way it proved, like, that we were capable of beating Fermanagh. Now, it was a hard-won semi-final. Make no mistake about that. It was a hard-won semi-final. But Jack, you know, you couldn't have a better semi-final going into a final. There's no use in running away with a semi-final. You know, you really, really have to get tested in a semi-final going into a final. And Limerick were really, really tested in that game with Fermanagh. And they came up with the goods, you know. So, like, as I said to Gsheimhridh there, you know, maybe the defeat in Newcastle West was a blessing. And I think you chipped in with the point that it's very, very hard to beat a team twice in the same year, and that is correct, you know. But I'm pretty confident, Jack, that Limerick have a serious chance of bringing this All Ireland on Sunday.
Oh,
You know,
100%.
and I would appeal to people to, you know, as many as possible to try and get to Croke Park, and, you know, by 11:30 on Thursday have Jones's Road coloured green and white, you know, and get in and support the girls. Like we're on a threshold of repeating a double that we previously did in 2018. You know,
Yeah.
Like All Irelands are not picked up off the road, Jack. They're hard won. And were we to win 2 All Irelands in different codes, one male and one female, like a huge success for Limerick. And like I really hope and would appeal to as many people as possible to get to Croke Park on Sunday. I'd also appeal to as many people as possible to get to the Woodlands Hotel on this Thursday morning for the fundraising breakfast, and it's hugely well organised by the Woodlands, the LGFA, and Sporting Limerick, and you know, like they have a very top class list of guest speakers. The McCarthy Cup will be there, and like it. You know, for individuals that want to go there, it would be €60, terrible well spent, because it would be going to support the girls who've done such a fantastic job for Limerick since the start of this year.
Yeah, I'd echo that point there. First and foremost, about the breakfast, to get to the Woodlands tomorrow between 7 and 9 to celebrate the achievement. First, the girls get into the final, and hopefully we'll be celebrating more. As you said, I think we've become accustomed to going to Croke Park and winning All Irelands with the hurlers, but they don't grow on trees, and you have to make hay while the sun shines. So anyone that can get to Croke Park, you definitely encourage them to go this Sunday. And there's 3 games as well to take in. You have the junior final, obviously, a 1:15. You have the intermediate final and the senior final. All the same price to go for 3 of them, as it is to go for 1 of them. So we definitely encourage them to get out. But 2 great ambassadors we had this morning in Roisin and Graham.
Absolutely, and Jack, if you just put it into context, it'll be a 3rd All Ireland in the grade in 13 years, and you must remember, Limerick were latecomers to the table of ladies football when it was initiated, and it was people with vision like the late Tom Madigan and Shanna Golden, you know, who formed, who was one of the founding members and one of the driving forces behind the early days of ladies football in Limerick, and who did tremendous work for ladies football right up to the time of his passing almost. And you know how it would be for those were we to bring a 3rd All Ireland and catapult ourselves to the top of the Roll of Honour. Now I know that's only secondary, but it just gives you a sense of how successful we have been since 2010. And it's very, very nice also, Jack, to see that we have a link with the 2010 team on playing on Sunday in 𝘠𝘱𝑒𝘏, the wife of Tommy Quaid of 𝘠𝘱𝘰𝘦𝘭𝘴, and you know, such a servant, Jack. What a servant to Limerick ladies football. Now, she missed out in 2018, but she came back for the last 2 or 3 years. Her experience, Jack, is simply invaluable, as you know from seeing the girls play, has been absolutely immense. Plus the experience of, you know, the like of those like Roisin that have been there since, although she says that the 2018 final passed her by, but I don't think it passed her by. I'll tell you, when she was running down that left wing in Croke Park, you could have fooled me that it passed her by. But you know, you've the like of her and Catty Me and others who were around then, 4 or 5 of them, that you know, that experience. But like you know, forgive me for giving special mention to Alva. It's 13 years ago, you know, and he or she is still going absolutely strong. What a servant!
Yeah, what is, like, in fairness to all of their time, but to have that longevity is something special, and it'd be brilliant to see her win another All Ireland, and to see an awful lot of players win a first All Ireland, because we've seen what the hurlers have done. They haven't looked back since winning that All Ireland with a young core, and it's a young core that Graham Shine has in his side, and hopefully it'll be Roisin Ambrose and the Hogan Steps lifting that junior trophy. But the very best luck to the team this Sunday, first day on Thursday for that breakfast morning, and then Sunday in the big one in the All Ireland final. And a thank you to Roisin and Graham for joining us this morning. But at the weekend just gone, Matt, we had the return of the hurling championships, all of them bar the Premier Intermediate that was obviously back a week earlier. But we'll stick with the senior for this morning because we are under a bit of time pressure and there's so many games to get through in the other grades. But back with a bang we were on Thursday night with the meeting of Patrick Swell and the 𝘕𝘰𝘰𝘪𝘮𝘬𝘳𝘪𝘀 live on Limerick TV. There's 3 more games this weekend, so make sure to get your season pass nice and early and have access to all those big games. But we're back with Limerick TV in Claughaun on Friday evening. Brutal conditions at the game, but a spectacle on show, and Aaron Gillan continuing where he left off his hurler of the year form. But what did you make of the game, Matt? Were you surprised with the outcome, or did you see this fight back from Pat Swell after, I suppose, a below par 2022, it's fair to say?
Yeah, I was slightly surprised with the result. As you'll see in the predictions when we come to it, I predicted the 𝘕𝘰𝘰𝘪𝘮𝘬𝘳𝑃, but I hadn't factored in the fact that William O'Donoghue wouldn't have been playing. To a William O'Donoghue to any team is a massive, massive loss. But having said that, Jack, here you are, and I've been saying this before, here you are 12 days out from winning an All Ireland, a 4th All Ireland in a row, and all the hype that goes with it, and all the celebrations that's entitled to go with it. And here you have players, and I'm talking about the county players first, and I'll address your question about the match then. Here you have players absolutely performing at the top of their game. And from what I'm hearing, Jack, and as you know, I had been away at the weekend on leave, but from what I'm hearing, Jack, that the story of the players, of the county players in the 𝘕𝘰𝘰𝘪𝘮𝘬𝘳𝘪𝘀 Patrick Swell match was reflected in all the games, with the county players standing out without exception, which, Tom Morrissey in the big win over Kildymon Palace, Dan Morrissey, you go through it. We saw Oisin O'Reilly absolutely in stunning form for Kilmallock, and Darragh O'Donovan for Doon. You sometimes, I hear people saying these guys are not robots, but half of you would be inclined to think at times that they are, at the way that they can keep turning it out. But getting back to your original question, Jack, from which I have strayed quite a distance, I given the circumstances of the conditions, which were awfully poor, I thought it was an excellent game of hurling.
Yeah, it was a good game of hurling, all right.
I think
it was very bad. I don't know if it came across on camera how bad it was, but I mean, it was brutal in Claughun.
Well, Jack, it wasn't your fault or Tom Clancy's that we didn't know how brutal it was, but it was brutal. But Jack, you'd be excused for thinking that the conditions were near ideal with the quality of the hurling and the circumstances.
Yeah, the standard was right there. We're not surprised by that.
Oh no, I'm not surprised by it. But as we've said here a number of times, conditions can be a great leveler.
Definitely.
And it certainly can bring down. It can bring down the quality, because you have a greasy ball, you have a greasy surface. These players, to a man, they lifted themselves above that. It was. I thought it was an excellent start to the Limerick Senior Hurling Championship. If you were looking for an ideal start to a competition, this was it. I thought I thought both sides, Jack, both sides served notice, on the day with the quality of their hurling, that they're both contenders.
Yeah, and I don't think it was anything we didn't know. And for me, it was Aaron Gillane was the overall difference with his goal is just a thing of beauty. And if Pashwell lay down a
Absolutely.
marker, if Pashwell lay down a marker on Friday, Kilmallock certainly had their own the following night. Now you have to feel for Doon, Matt, with just the amount of injuries they have. Their entire backline is gone, but Kilmallock weren't for giving them sympathy, and some of the performances throughout the team, but especially in the forward ranks. And Shane Riley got 2 goals. Shane O'Brien was Shane O'Brien, and if you needed any bit of reminding of how good Kilmallock were, that was it on Saturday night.
It was, Jack. It was. I saw the game, and thanks to Limerick GA TV. It was first class performance by Kilmallock. Now, I had seen the county league final between Kilmallock and Doon, and Kilmallock got off to a fantastic start that day. Do you remember? You'll recall that we spoke with Gavin O'Mahony the morning after the final. He was in here with us, and they raced into a 1-6 no score lead early on in that, and after that, Doon settled in and came back into the game. Now, I honestly thought that we were seeing something. We were seeing something similar on this occasion, in that Doon racing, Kilmallock racing, and that Doon would find that and get back into it, but not a bit of it. Like Kilmallock were having none of it. Jack, you must remember that Doon were without Richie English and Barry Murphy among others, and like there's no club like could can suffer that kind of a loss, and I saw these teams play in the league final, and which Doon won. Now, and we had Gavin O'Mahony in here the morning after, if you remember, just his morning on the podcast with us. And looking at the game last Friday evening, like in the league final, Kilmallock raced into a 1-6 no score lead, but Doon gradually clawed it back. And I said to myself when I was watching him at the weekend, I said, here it goes again now. Doon are letting Kilmallock build up a lead, and that they'll have to claw it back, but not a bit of it. Like, and Kilmallock were not for turning on this occasion. Like, they just drove on, and like, you must remember that Kilmallock were also without Graham Mulcahy and Robbie Hanley. But the Kilmallock forwards, Jack, they were excellent. You had Oisin O'Reilly and Micheál Houlihan, will say, recapturing the type of form that made them such important key figures in winning the county 2 years ago. You had Robbie Egan back at full forward in very, very good form and getting on the score sheet with a goal. But Jack, I suppose the story of that particular game has to go to Shane O'Brien, And to me, you know how I feel about Shane O'Brien. To me, that doesn't. Shane O'Brien's performance against Doon doesn't surprise me in the least. To me, that is the real Shane O'Brien, because we saw him, outstanding in Harty Cup and Croke Cup. But Jack, and he started in flying form in the championship last year. He suffered that injury against Doon in Fedimore the day, and I don't think that he certainly didn't recapture his best form after that last year. But I think he's a player now that has clearly, Jack, benefited from being part of John Kiley's squad for right up to 2 weeks ago, and there's an awful lot more to come from Shane O'Brien. I thought he was absolutely irresistible on Friday evening. He was absolutely fantastic, and it's so good to see it. A young player like that coming through, and so good for not just Kilmallock but also for Limerick. And I made the point last year that when we were talking maybe about who might make onto the panel and the Limerick panel and what have you, like you will remember that I was insisting that Shane O'Brien had to be one of them, and I think that has been vindicated now, because and it will be further vindicated as the summer goes on.
Yeah, 100%, and he's just a player that continues to grow and grow. And Darragh Donovan singled him out in that infamous off the ball interview, calling him the bull, and he showed exactly what he's about. But another man that you wouldn't have seen it now, but out in Cappamore on a Saturday evening, Tom Morrissey gave an exhibition of shooting for a hand in their win over 𝘕𝘱𝘭𝘴 He got 12. I think 5 of those were from play. He was tightly marked. I thought he broke his hand at one stage. He was getting so hit so hard when he went up the field to catch the ball, but he was outstanding. So good. Dan Minahan, who played 21s maybe 4 or 5 years ago, was full forward. He was good as well, got 1-3. Ronan Fox got a goal. And then at the other end of the field, you had the battle of Dan Morrissey and Kyle Hayes, renewing acquaintances. Both backs at the time with Limerick, but Kyle went in full forward and Dan marching him well. I thought it was a bit naive from KP to leave Kyle inside there the entire game. He's one of the best club forwards in Limerick, as we saw last year with his 10-point salvo against Blackrock, but couldn't get him into the game. We're very reliant on Sean Barry Freeze, and I suppose it just goes to show the level when you step up from Group 2 into Group 1, the difference. And huge win for a hand, Matt, that they know now if they are to go down, that KP will have to pick up at least 3 points somewhere else. And a hand will... They've Kilmallock this week, and we'll get into that when we go to predictions. But we'll probably look at the result for Doon and think there is a place in the top 4 for them. Massive result at the weekend on Saturday night.
Yeah, absolutely massive result. And, you probably saw me smiling there when you were talking about the performance of Tom Morrissey. And again, I don't know why there's so much talk about it or element of surprise about it, because this is the real Tom Morrissey, and Tom Morrissey never fails to stand up for a hand. I saw him a couple of times with a hand last year, and he's just an incredible player. He's just an incredible leader. It doesn't surprise me in the least, Jack, that type of performance from Tom Morrissey. But in the context of the group, Jack, it's a huge win for a hand. And I think it's the first in 2 or 3 years at this level, and they were sort of depending on picking up a draw here and there for survival. But you're absolutely right now. Some team will have to get 3 points at this stage. That's down, we'll say, of the first round losers, Doon and 𝘕𝘱𝘭𝘴 or 𝘕𝘱𝘭𝘴. You can't see 𝘕𝘱𝘭𝘴 failing to get 3 points anywhere, but that's the situation in that they have put themselves in a very, very strong position that they look for a hand. They won't be looking over their shoulder, Jack, which they have been done in other years. They have that vital win under their belts, and it's onward and upwards now. They can give it a right cut from here, and they have some very, very good players that are capable of doing it, Jack. And I was just looking at the hand team sheet, and it's a team that's building and building and building. And even at this remove, Jack, it wouldn't surprise me if they could be a team to gate crash the top 4.
Yeah, they could be. And I suppose looking further afield, teams to gate crash the top 4 in Group 2, there was 3 teams that laid down that kind of a marker in Mungret St. Paul's, who hammered South Liberties. Ballybrown comprehensively got over last year's All-Ireland Intermediate champions Monaleen, and Adair the same against Gary Spillane. That Group 2 is a lot more cutthroat, I think, Matt, in that you could probably afford to lose 1 game in your hunt for quarter-final place, but that would be the height of it. And for Ballybrown, Mungret St. Paul's and Adair, perfect start for them.
Yes, Jack, very big wins for Ballybrown, for Mungret St. Paul's, and for Adair. And I suppose Ballybrown had a huge win, and I'm not entirely surprised, because if you remember when we were having this discussion on Section B last year, from the outset last year, I fancied Ballybrown to come out of it and go up, but then they lost to 𝘕𝘱𝘭𝘴 and it sort of went pear-shaped for them after that. But I think they will have learned from that, and they're a year on now, and I think they will be better prepared. Very, very good win for Mungret St. Paul's, because it's the second year syndrome, and you'd always wonder about these things. And I thought, but they've such a pool of players in Mungret St. Paul's, coming through from probably one of the best underage structures in the county. That they're bound to have this reservoir of players that can make the transition to senior. And like, they showed signs of it last year, that they weren't entirely uncomfortable at senior ranks. And I think that they will drive on. Now, from an Adair point of view, after being relegated last year, when you hit the lower level, there's no better way to get off to a start to, which and hope to get back to where you came from, than to get off with a win. And they got a win over, what I would regard as very, very solid 𝘠𝘱𝘰𝘪𝘮 side. Now, 𝘠𝘱𝘰𝘪𝘮 side is without Owen Sheehan this year, who would be a big loss to any team. But nevertheless, they what on paper looked a very comfortable win over 𝘠𝘱𝘰𝘪𝘮. But if it sets up for this weekend, and and we might be only talking about round 2, but like, you have 2 huge games this weekend in Section B, because you have the meeting of winners, 2 winners, Ballybrown and Adair. Now, the winner of which will take a very, very firm grip on the group, even though it's only 2 rounds. And at the other end of the scale, you have the meeting of Monaleen and South Liberties.
Yeah.
Both first round losers. And you'll say, is this fella talking through his hat? You might be able to see it there on the screen, but it's on.
We know.
That talking about relegation, and we only in round 2. But round 2 of 5, Jack, doesn't be long going up to 5. Between Monaleen and South Liberties. The loser of that game, Jack, has to find 3 points somewhere. The point you were making about Kildimo Pallaskenry, the very same point. They have to find 3 points in 3 games.
Yeah, it's so important that you pick up points early, and it's a lot of times teams that start well will do enough to get them through to their side. And you look for Liberties and Monaleen, even outside of the fact they're playing each other, the manner and margin of the defeats will be extremely worrying for them. But again, on the flip side, if you can beat the other team, you're kind of nearly saying we're safe and we can go for that top 2 places. But while in the top tier, we're not really worried about an Piersig finishing the top 4. At the other side of the coin, another loss in Group 2 would make it nearly impossible to get into that top 2. So we'll go into the predictions, Matt, and we'll do our previews of the games in our predictions. And while we're on about Group 2, we'll stay with that big clash between South Liberties and Monaleen. So you can kind of give us a rundown of how you think it's going to go, and then your overall prediction, Matt.
I was disappointed with Monaleen in the first round. I thought they would have done better, Jack. They're All-Ireland champions, and whether they're suffering an All-Ireland hangover or not, I don't know, but I thought they would have got off to a better start. South Liberties, Jack, are in difficulty. They've lost a lot of players, like between players transferring out and players retiring, and they had a poor performance in the first round. And I'm going to go with Monaleen to recapture the type of form that propelled them to All-Ireland champions last year, and I think they'll win by about 2 or 3 points, Jack. Say 3 points, because you'll be giving your prediction as well.
Yeah, I was going to go with 3 as well, but I'll go 2 for Monaleen. Just with that, South Liberties have been decimated. Doon's problem has been injuries, but South Liberties have lost a lot of lads to retirement and transfers, as you said. So hard for them to regroup. And maybe just for Monaleen, it was a case of just getting to grips with the senior ranks again and understanding just how difficult it is. So I think they'll regroup this week and get a narrow win, and that'll put them on course to move up the table. But obviously would put South Liberties behind the 8 ball very early on in the championship. Mungret St. Paul's.
It's a big fall. It would be a very big fall for South Liberties from county semi-finalists last year to struggling to stay afloat this year, but it's the fact of the matter, like that no club possibly could sustain the type of losses of personnel that they had, as I said, through one or two transferring out and people retiring, coming to the end of their natural cycle, and it's going to be difficult for South Liberties, I think, but a win against Monaghan could change all that. But if you're asking me to predict, I'm going with Monaghan.
Yeah, I'll go as well. Mungret St. Paul's versus 𝘕𝘱𝘰𝘪𝘮, two teams coming off the back of differing results, but 𝘕𝘱𝘰𝘪𝘮 beat Mungret St. Paul's last year. They're a seasoned senior team at this stage. This is their 5th year, I think, in the top tier. But how do you see this one playing out?
This is going to be a tight one, Jack, because you'll have contrasting styles, and you're going to have a seasoned team of 𝘕𝘱𝘰𝘪𝘮, typical old-style championship hurlers, digging deep and all that sort of thing. And you have a Mungret St. Paul's team who will be, flying out of the traps, moving the ball at speed around the place and all that sort of thing. I'm going for Mungret St. Paul's to avenge that result by 2 points. I think Mungret St. Paul's will do it on this occasion, Jack.
Yeah, like it's interesting there you said about the styles. I think that's what caught Mungret last year, that 𝘕𝘱𝘰𝘪𝘮 will, if needs be, they obviously have some lovely hurlers, but if needs be, can take you into a fight. And I think Mungret have got better at dealing with things like that. And they've obviously some exceptionally good forwards. Their inside line the last day was Niall Mulcahy, who was obviously lined out with Kerry, Paul O'Brien, who played a lot of underage for Limerick, and with Ard's Clarice as well, and Liam Lynch, that we've spoken about in depth on this pod before, that they just have huge firepower, and I think that'll guide them to victory. So I'm going to say Mungret by 6. I know it's a big margin, but we saw a lot of big margins in the first round, so I think that might continue. And the other,
I mentioned earlier on in the cast, Jack, about the loss of Onchy and his big loss to 𝘕𝘱𝘰𝘪𝘮.
huge loss. And that will be a factor for a lot of teams this year, is immigration and boys away and even injuries after long. The split season is great in one way, but if you pick up an injury anytime around August, July, you could be gone for the entire year. So you have to keep that in mind. But then I suppose the big game of the round is that of Ballybrown and Adair, as you said, two teams that picked up wins in the first round, two teams that would see themselves as sides that should be in Group 1, have obviously been in the very top tier in recent years. Adair last year, Ballybrown the year before. Two sides that know each other well, Matt. Which way are you going for? Another game that's on Limerick TV. Which way are you going for?
Well, Declan Hannon is going to be, if Declan Hannon is missing, he's a huge loss to Adair. Yeah. And I think I'm going for Ballybrown on that one for that reason. That it will tilt it in Ballybrown's favour, because in my opinion, looking at them, there's nothing between these two sides. I'm going for Ballybrown by 1.
Ballybrown by 1. Is it safe to say that if Declan Hannon was lining out, you'd be going the other way for the men in red and black?
Possibly, but that's a hypothesis, Jack.
Yeah, and I suppose, look, they both won comprehensive in the first round, but Ballybrown beat a team that were absolutely flying in Monaghan. Like, I know it's been a while since the All-Ireland, but their previous game was in Croke Park and a winning in Croke Park. So I just think Ballybrown should have went up last year. I think they will this year, and I think they'll take another step towards that. I'm tipping Ballybrown by 4 points. So in Group 2, we're all the same. Mungret, Monaghan, Ballybrown, with differing points differentials. Into Group 1 then, Matt. A Thursday night on Limerick TV, we have a hand versus Kilmallock. Or I think we have a hand versus Kilmallock live. I'll check that in a minute for you. But and Kilmallock, obviously, 2 first-round winners. A hand beat KP. Kilmallock beat Doon. Although the result in the Kilmallock Doon game was a lot heavier, a hand were very comfortable for most of the game in Cappamore. They didn't trail, I'd say, after 5 minutes and kind of cruised their way to victory. Can you see Ahan upsetting the odds here, or Kilmallock let out another statement?
I saw him playing last year, and it was very, very tight. And that there is a tradition between these two sides of games being quite tight. Like, you must remember that two of the foremost teams in the county and two of the most successful teams in the county. But there was an awful lot that I liked about the look of Kilmallock in the win over Doon. I thought, notwithstanding the number of players that Doon were missing, but like, if you still have the like of Graham Mulcahy and Robbie handy to add to your squad, like, you're in a strong position. I'm going for Kilmallock, and they certainly won't have it as easy as they had against Doon. But I have an awful feeling that they're focused similar to the way that they were 2 years ago, and I think they're going to take a bit of stopping this year. So I'm going for Kilmallock by 2.
Kilmallock by 2, tight margin. I'm going Kilmallock by 7. That has nothing to do with Ahan. I just think, again, Kilmallock's firepower. We mentioned it talking about the game with Doon. Obviously, Oisin O'Reilly, Shane O'Brien are standout names. If you're going to add Graham Mulcahy back into the mix, Robbie Egan, Phelim O'Reilly, Conor Handley Clark, they just have a plethora of talent in their disposal. I think they'll go all the way this year. But I'll get your prediction on who will be the outright winner in a while, because we missed you for the preview. But I'm going Kilmallock by 7. Also on Thursday night, Patrickswell versus Doon. Again, two teams coming in really contrasting results. Obviously, Patrickswell were big winners over Na Piarsaigh. Doon lost heavily to Kilmallock, down an awful lot of players. For me, I can't see past Patrickswell. I'm going the Well by 5 points, led by, Aaron Gillan, Cian Lynch and Darren Burns are 3 of the top 7 hurlers in the country. So to be on one team against a team that has lost an awful lot of players, I think it's one-way traffic. Also on Thursday night, what do you think?
I'm going Patrickswell by 4 for the very same reason that, I thought Aaron Gillan was, just outstanding the way he finished that goal and everything. But Cian Lynch, stopped and controlled everything around the middle against Na Piarsaigh. Dermot Burns, I thought, was immense at centre back. And if you see, you've 3 potential hurlers of the year here. That we could have 4 hurler of the year gongs between them come the end of the year. And not only that, but from a Patrickswell point of view, 1 in defence, 1 in midfield, 1 in attack. There's a grand spread out of your top players. As I said, I think Patrickswell are really contenders. Now, obviously, they have learned a sore lesson from losing to South Liberties in the quarter-final last year. I'm going for the Well by 4, Jack.
Well by 4. Just a 1 point difference there. And to round out the games, also on Limerick JTV on Friday night in Claughaun, Na Piarsaigh versus Kildimo-Pallaskenry. Both sides losing the opening round. Obviously, it's a must-win game for both teams. I think Na Piarsaigh are still the bookies' favourites to win it out, but they won't have it easy against KP.
They won't, because Kildimo-Pallaskenry, they know what they have to do at this stage, and they're already in a scrap. It's welcome to life at the top tier. Big question mark, of course, will be William O'Donoghue. Should William O'Donoghue be playing? If he will, that will make a huge difference. But I still think that Na Piarsaigh will have enough, and Na Piarsaigh will be stung by losing the first round, Jack. And there will be fair analysis and forensic examination going on in Na Piarsaigh this week as to why and how it happened. And I think they're going to go bounce back, and I'm going for Na Piarsaigh by 5.
Na Piarsaigh by 5. I'll go one more, Na Piarsaigh by 6. The loss of William is massive. I think it's probably one of the bigger players to lose in the entire championship, such as his influence around the midfield. But I do think they'll just have probably too much for KP, and it'll be interesting to see how Kildimo react, because they haven't had a setback like that in a long, long time. I know they've lost county finals and lost semi-finals that time, but just to be comfortably beaten by a team for the majority of the game will sting them, and be interesting to see how they regroup. But those are our games for the weekend. And the 𝘸𝘱𝘰𝘵 versus KP on Fridays on Limerick TV. The previous night on Thursday, Ahan Kilmallock is on Limerick TV, and on Sunday, Ballybrown versus Adair in Group 2. That really interesting game is also live on Limerick TV. So don't miss out on those games. Matt, obviously, we had a bit of sad news during the week, and it's never a nice part of the podcast, but have to send our condolences once more again this week.
It is, Jack. Want to send our condolences to Ellen and Kevin and Siobhan and Declan Danaher of Kilfinnan and Blackrock GA on the sad passing of their father, of Con Danaher, who was the president of Blackrock GA Club, and who's been buried in his native 𝘠𝘱𝘕 today. Con Danaher was the quintessential GA man. He loved everything about the GA. He started his career with his native 𝘠𝘠𝘕, and he won recognition in 1963. He was on the Limerick team that was beaten in the All-Ireland final in the highest scoring, I think, minor final in history, beaten by a Wexford team that included Tony Doran. And he later went on to England, and he played in England, and I think it was with Warwickshire that he won an All-Ireland junior hurling medal. He subsequently returned and went into the licensed trade in Kilfinnan and ran a very successful licensed trade business there, and threw in his lot with Blackrock, first of all as a player and then as a mentor. But Con Danaher was a man that dedicated his entire life to the GA. It was his sole interest in life, and he was a man that wasn't just happy to talk about GA and talk about hurling matches. He was a man that wanted to get things done in the GA, and he was like a huge figure in the Blackrock GA Club, even during the last couple of years when his health was failing. And Con Danaher was a huge loss, and our deepest sympathy goes first of all to his family, and secondly to the Blackrock GA Club and the 𝘠𝘠𝘕 Club, both of whom he served so well right up to the very end. And just as we're on that team, I would also like to send our sympathy to the Dowling family of Kilmallock on the passing of Pat Dowling. Pat was a brother of Mossy Dowling, who was a member of the 1973 All-Ireland winning Limerick team, and Pat won a county senior hurling medal with Kilmallock in 1967. He was the corner forward, and huge turnout of the 1967 team at his funeral on Monday. And we'd like to extend our sympathy to his family, his sons and his daughters, brothers and sisters, and all the Dowling family. May they rest in peace, Jack.
Yeah, echo all those sentiments from our part there to the Danaher and Dowling families. Obviously, last week, Matt, you missed our preview show, so I might just ask you a few of your outrights for the Senior Hurling Championship, and you have the advantage of a round under your belt here. So, who will be the two teams that come out of Group 2? You're taking your time.
Adair and Ballybrown.
Adair and Ballybrown. So this weekend's result won't make much of a difference to either team, you don't think?
No.
They'll be out belt group. For what it's worth, I said Ballybrown, Mungret. Tom Clancy said Ballybrown and Mona Lean. So we're all going for Ballybrown, but who joined them then is the other one. We asked about the top four, but I suppose it'll be too easy now with results under their way. But who will be the 2023 Daily Cup champions, Matt?
Kilmallock.
Yeah. Is that based on the first round results, or would you have said it this time a week ago?
I would have said it at this time a week ago, Jack, and I probably said it to you a couple of times maybe. Kilmallock, in my opinion, did anything but justice to themselves in 2022.
In the final.
Yeah.
They were very good up to that point. I know they rescued against Doon in the semis, but yeah, didn't show. And at the same time, the 𝘸𝘱𝘰𝘳𝑗 were very good in the final.
Absolutely.
I did say I think that Kilmallock could win the championship this year. Tom went for the 𝘸𝘱𝘰𝘳, going for Kilmallock. But after Patrick Swell's performance in round one, you'll be looking at the team with 3 hurlers a year. How could you write off a side like that? You would,
and a huge game will be Kilmallock and Patrick Swell, a game not to be missed.
Yeah, there's just so many big games to come in the Limerick Championship. Obviously, the intermediate, Premier Intermediate, Junior Championships are ongoing too, but we'll take a while before we get into them. Obviously, the biggest game of the weekend is going to be in Crow Park for Limerick, the ladies footballers against Town. So once the intercounty is completely finished, we'll have more time to look at the club scene. But for now, we'll just be on the Senior Championships. But again, this weekend, all roads lead to Croker on Sunday as Roisin Ambrose leads her side out into Crow Park as they take on Doon in the All-Ireland Ladies Football Junior Final against Down at 12:15. Not one to be missed. So if you can get to Dublin again, it'll be the last trip to Dublin for the year, guaranteed. If you can get out and support the ladies, do so. But for now, Matt, a huge thank you, as always, to everyone watching in, to No Holds Menswear for getting on board and sponsoring us, to everyone that gives us feedback on everything we do, whether it's good or bad. We appreciate all your feedback. And as always, to you, Matt, for giving us your contributions. It was a bit slow to get going today with the Gremlins. They got the better of you. But we saw a simple on and off of the phone managed to do the job for us. So huge thank you to you, Matt, as always. To everyone watching, we'll be back soon. Thank you and good luck.
Thanks,
The
Jack.
question again, we get out with what you put into it. It's like a walk of life. If you're good enough, go out and get it, no more about it.
Not so much control in the centre of the field from Kilkenny as 𝘕𝘰𝘦𝘭𝘴 sends it high and over the bar.
Your mother sends you down to the shop for a pound's worth of goods and she gives you 50 pence. You can't get the pound's worth of goods, can you?
Just about kept in. 𝘕𝘰𝘦𝘭𝘴 𝘔𝘦𝘬𝘪𝘀. To do that to 𝘕𝘰𝘦𝘭𝘴, he deserves to score from here. One of the highlights of the Sunday game.
Limerick went out there from the word court today. No more about it. They made all the running, that was it. Put the ball over the bar and 𝘱𝘱𝘰𝘦𝘭𝘴, and that's it. No ifs, no buts.
Is there much time left? We have a couple of injuries. Here comes 𝘕𝘰𝘦𝘭𝘴 𝘔𝘪𝘮 leading the charge of the right brigade. 45 metres out. He's a chance to score. He's put it high. He's put it over.
There's no sympathy in this game for anybody.